Ryback. Some who know him from this meme, and some who know him from his, well, not so memorable career in WWE. Ryback, since leaving WWE, has seemingly spiraled out of control and gone insane. So, what happened? On August the 8th, 2016, it was said that WWE released Ryback. However, some say that he left to venture out on his own. This was after a few contract disputes. So early on, we can see one of the issues as to why Ryback may have been bitter towards WWE is due to his contract. He was in the undercard for much of his career and only became a main event player after injuries and undercard matches. So although this is where everyone may think Ryback's fall from grace began, he actually became hated a while back from this due to other issues he had in the ring. To make Ryback seem like a machine, he had to be constantly fed new opponents. These opponents usually had to show little offense to make Ryback seem stronger. However, Ryback would cause more havoc than intended. His ruthless and aggressive style would cause what meant to look dangerous to actually be dangerous. This is evident in many cases. One instance is where he took on Jack Swagger. From the start, Swagger looked terrified to be in the ring with him. And it wasn't simply, oh, I'm playing a character and meant to look scared for Ryback. It was a genuine fright in the eyes of Swagger. It began with Swagger being Irish whipped into the corner too fast, which led to him awkwardly landing into the turnbuckle, that then led to a botched back body drop, one of the most fundamental wrestling moves, which resulted in Swagger landing on his head and neck. Swagger was in legitimate pain and was unable to properly wrestle for the remainder of the match. Another instance of why Ryback became hated before his release was due to his encounter with CM Punk, which was unnecessarily vicious. By this time, Ryback had already built a reputation for not being the safest wrestler or not being the technically best wrestler the WWE had to offer. This was amplified in his feud with Punk. The first night into the feud, Ryback gorilla presses and slams CM Punk into a table, or at least he tried. He throws CM Punk in a way so he'd miss the table. CM Punk was legitimately dumped onto concrete. Ryback being unsafe and ruthless means that he put CM Punk out for action for 4 weeks and tilted his pelvis. Punk was not happy about this. Well, that is the first reason he is hated by the wrestling community and why he has seemingly become a disgrace to the wrestling community. After leaving WWE, he did a few things in the indies and talked about leaving WWE. Walking away from WWE, by far it was the greatest day of my career, Ryback said. The fact I had the courage, and by no means it wasn't an easy decision because it was going on in my head for over 2 years. It was such a proud moment for me to know that walking away from that amount of money, I left to be free. I equate it to the Shawshank Redemption, that I was finally released. I did it on my own terms and conditions. Well then, he talks about being finally free and it being a moment where he can do something bigger and better than he had ever done before. So let's see what he actually did. Well, after being let go by WWE, rightfully so, as we didn't need or want him on our TV screens any longer, he made his own brand, Feed Me More Nutritions, which he used his Twitter and TikTok to plug the hell out of it. And after a quick look at what he's selling, it looks like something I would have designed in year 3. So far, none of this is to hate on. None of this shows how Ryback has gone crazy or how he's lost the fans' respect. Well, here's the second reason. After being released from WWE, he was very bitter towards them. One reason was that fans and colleagues of his didn't respect him due to what we talked about previously, calling him a B-Tech Goldberg and saying that he couldn't wrestle, with CM Punk referring to him as the steroid guy, and with Mark Henry calling him difficult and dangerous. We can see why he would begin to build up anger. The criticism of his talent, the mocking chants, his unsafe work, and the main event potential that never quite came to be have all appeared to feed into an insecurity that gets released on social media. So, Twitter has shown Ryback spiral out of control, with tweets mocking Vince McMahon's dead mother to Ryback slamming fat and miserable fans, in his opinion. He has shown disrespect and rudeness through Twitter, which has made wrestling fans all across the world hate him for another reason. One being his unsafeness in the ring and his inability to wrestle, to his inability to take criticism and publicly slam people through Twitter for having an opinion on him. Many of his tweets show his anger towards WWE. He called Triple H the biggest disappointment, which is probably due to how he was treated or dealt with in WWE and his anger towards the subject coming out. However, mocking Vince McMahon's dead mother is crossing the line by far. Having bitterness is one thing, but to make fun of the dead due to this is something completely different. So a mixture of Ryback's unsuccessful, vicious, aggressive career and what came later, which was his constant ranting and hate towards WWE, which came later, has all made fans view him in a very negative way and has made Ryback fall into a deep, dark